my temperature the rise. If you leave me, I could die. I swear. You are like the oxygen I need to survive. I'll be honest. Your love ain't it totally me. I am so obsessed. I want to chop your kobe. Ule, your body they make me she. Ule, open and make I see. Ule, you're my love one city. If you make a bad man sing, $1,000 I'm spent for your head. So gonna want. I said it don't matter. Now you my one they carry for my head every night. Now you are one they carry to my bed. Oh, no, no. Don't tell me no, no, no. You could be my partner, never riding solo. No. And we can do I'm low-key, no need to party. Oh. I feel like what you're doing, oh yeah, baby, carry go. Carry go, ule. Your body never can be shit, ule. Open and make I see, ule. Now you where they catch a fancy. They do me, I keep packing, oh no, no, no.
Mayo, your mic is muted.
Oh, your mic is.
That's what happened. Welcome to the virtual world, everybody. I'm going to start over. Thank you for letting me know that my mic is muted. I just spent a whole minute talking. So again, welcome everybody. I am Joel Mayo, Executive Director and coach of Poetic Pathos Youth Slam, Fayetteville's first youth poetry group, slam team, representative at Brave New Voices International Festival, representative of all the youth poets in the Fayetteville, Cumberland County area. So anyways, welcome to our first Fresh Ink open mic of this season. I'm excited to be here. I hope you are as well. If you're tuning in, you have an amazing show ahead of you. I'm not your host, so I'm going to introduce them in a second. But anyways, welcome. We are Poetic Pathos Youth Slam. We are here to serve the youth ages 13 to 19 in Cumberland County, provide them workshops, provide them open mic opportunities, growth opportunities, and of course, slams, give them a chance to grow as artists, poets, writers, you name it. All right. So Fresh Ink open mic. Every month we are going to feature, whether it be in a past Poetic Pathos member or just somebody who's part of the youth community or recently former part of the youth community, and just share some work. But on top of that, we want to give some a safe space for our poets, for our artists, whether they're songwriters, whether they're short prose writers, whether they're rappers, and of course, poets, just give them the opportunity to share their work on the screen, of course. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our host, because that's one thing that we try to do as well. We're trying to empower our youth, help them become not just great poets, but leaders and presenters and all sorts of things. Our host this evening is none other than one of our 2021 B&V team members. She is an amazing poet, joined us, I want to say last year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kennedy, right? You can go ahead and turn your camera on. I'll spotlight you. Did you join us last year?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Kennedy. I joined Slam last school year. I've written poetry for about like a year and a half now. I have always loved writing. I've always loved reading, and naturally, I sort of fell into slam. Mr. May has been my teacher since I've been in high school. I'm a junior now. My experience last year with the Grace Creek Slam team and the Poetic Pathos Youth Slam team has been amazing. I've met so many new people. I've experienced so many different things. I've learned about other people, and I've grown into a better person than I was coming in before. And I am so glad that I've had the opportunity to be a part of this organization. Um,
I'm so grateful to have you. I just say, like, Kennedy joining us last year. I don't know. I guess because I've taught you since you're a freshman, I feel like you've been with me forever. She has grown so much. She rocked it at Brave New Voices. So I am extremely excited to pass this torch and let her host. And she is going to get this open mic, kick it off with our first poet. She's going to finish off the open mic session, introduce our feature. This is the last that you're going to hear from me. So hope you enjoy. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please share, spread the word about our organization, give our youth like Kennedy and all these amazing poets a chance. All right. Stop my video.
So without further ado, our first poet of the night is T, who is on the Poetic Pathos Youth Slam team with me. And I am so excited to hear their piece that T is going to read for us. So T, before you get started, I just want to ask you a question. Like, what is your biggest writing inspiration? What gives you courage to keep writing and to keep telling stories like this?
Okay, so that's a really good question. Half of that I don't really know the answer to most of the time. It's more of a thing that just comes with experiences and experiencing trauma and experiencing really happy moments and exciting moments, like, I don't know, getting a dog for the first time, things like that. Really, it just depends on the person. With me, it's I want to be that voice for those who don't necessarily know how to word situations they're going through, whether it's childhood trauma or an experience they had with someone that they wish they could go back and undo, to even things that they wish they could redo over and over again. I don't know. I enjoy writing for people to listen and be like, wow, I can really relate to that. Or wow, I can picture that in my brain, like all of the steps that she went through to go through or to go through what she did and to get through what she did. Just simple things like that. That's genuinely what I write and what I perform for.
Thank you so much, T. That is an amazing answer. We can really have some more insight into what really drives you to keep writing. So you can take it away now.
Alrighty. So the piece I'm going to be performing for the open mic is called Eulogy to My Childhood Home. We gather here today to celebrate the life of one of our greatest relationships. Greatest in length, not greatest in, well, dedication, appreciation, or even motivation, to celebrate the relationship we had with the house we have lived in for the past 17 years that broke every piece of my mind and shattered my soul into pieces scattered across the photo albums we once loved, for the smiles we had to bury when we were way too young. Rest in peace, the piece of me that was embedded into this house, and every frame that has a photo of me, and every bed sheet and pillow that I have cried on. To the stuffed animals that wish they could hug me back, watching my childhood get turned into adulthood, watching my brain get washed clean of all the traumatic memories lying in that murky water, that same murky water being the reason I don't really remember my childhood. A 9-letter word my soul cannot rest upon, my inner child shaking at the thought of the haunted house I called home, the hell that rested under my toes. There's no way to feel at home. The words thrown at me, marinated in my brain for years, and never allowed me to hear anything other than pessimistic behavior. My body danced with any remedy that could possibly break me free, that could contort my smile to be something more than something I picked off the shelf. Anxiety met me at a young age and brought along eating disorders and depression. They made me play the most fucked up game of charades, making me dance with self-harm as if it was mine to chase, to get on my knees and beg for it to stay. Like every boy this house has seen me date, going from worst date to first date, from staying up late to wishing they would have never stayed, from being the one to being fueled by hate more bad than good has been done to this temple of a shell I've tried to complete. Building a temple on your own isn't as easy as it seems. So you need resources and things you can keep, things that can keep your mind at ease and allow you some type of relief, things that don't seem to be an option because they aren't very cheap. I've had to rebuild and break down and rebuild myself too many times for anyone to say they can compete or that they can complete me and all that I've dreamed of defeating, whether it be my anxiety that keeps me up late or insomnia that makes me want to leave this place, depression tightening the noose, moving the blade closer to my arm or the pill bottle into my hand. It'll give me a momentary escape. Poetry being the one thing I can do almost effortlessly. No need for defenses when their wounds are my own. Their toxic parents are the ones in my generational loophole. That sister that's fighting her own demons every season is my own, and she has almost made it out and is reaching for my hand to take me with her words. Arranged beautifully and eloquently to make your trauma sound like a pretty flower in a garden. The one orchid you put in a flower pot to stay for years, hoping it won't wither away. Here, by someone we once loved. May she rest in peace, as I know she was in pieces for years and will still be picking herself back up for years to come. Thank you.
Great job, T. That piece was amazing. You definitely told us what was on your mind, and that message absolutely touched so many people. T did a wonderful job. Next up, we are going to have Lily, I think.
Amari.
Oh, Amari. Amari will be our next poet. So Amari, come on up.
Okay, I'm going to be performing my identity card poem.
Okay, great, Amari. Before you start, I just want to ask you one question. So, who is your favorite poet, or do you have a favorite poem, and why?
I don't really have a favorite poet or poem.
Okay, that's a valid answer. You can read us your piece now if you would like.
Okay. Put it on record, I'm mixed. The color of my skin is like caramel drizzle on a frappuccino. I have a family of 7 and I'm the middle child. What's there to be angry about? Put it on record, I'm mixed. I listen to all these backhanded comments. Quietly though, because I don't want to cause a scene. I have a family of 7 and a dog who acts a little more human than he should. But what's there to be angry about? Put it on record, I'm mixed. I'm told my skin is pretty, but pretty things are made ugly by those overcome by their own insecurities. I keep my opinions to myself because I don't want to cause a scene. What's there to be angry about? Put it on record, I'm mixed. I'd rather sit back and bear the 7 pains of these words and let these chains hold the things I really want to say back. Because words hold a power that can't be cured by a doctor. But what's there to be angry about? Thank you.
Great job, Amari. That poem was definitely very expressive, and we are so proud of you for sharing that with us. So thank you so much. Next up, we have our next poet, who is it Lily this time, or?
Yep.
Okay, Lily, come on up.
Hi.
Hi, Lily. We are so happy to have you here with us today. So before you read us your poem, I just want to ask you really quick, what audience or what group of people do you hope to reach with your words, with your message, with your poetry?
Oh, this is such a good question. For me, since my poems are about me, like speaking about like my sexual assault and like my depression, anxiety, I definitely hope to reach people who have been through similar stuff to me, to hope that they can come out and speak, because like that's the main reason why I've started doing poetry and why I started like telling my story, to help other people to know that it is okay to come out and speak about their truth.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Lily. We can't wait to hear your poem.
Thank you. Okay, so my first piece is called My High. Um, this may be triggering to people who have been like in a toxic relationship. I'm not exactly sure. You were my high. My hello, how are you doing in the morning? My hi, are you okay in the afternoon? Never my goodbye. You were my high. The only goodbye we got close to was a good night or I'll see you soon. Till the next time. We didn't so we couldn't be together. We didn't like saying goodbye because goodbye sounded like I don't know when I'll see you the next time. And we just hated that idea, or at least I did. You were my high until the green little leaf that we were told was the devil's lettuce became my new high, until it couldn't keep me high anymore. Then that white little pill that would take all my pain away became my new high. The white little pill that would help me sleep would also be the reason why I am just now hitting 11 months clean again. You were my high until I realized I had had a bad trip, that bad trip being our whole relationship, not knowing I could be so dependent on a person until you left, not knowing what it was like to feel low until you left. You were my high, and then you became my low. I never knew you could be the same at once until I met you. And then my second piece is called um My New Home. Like, gotten used to it. I haven't really come up with a title name for it. You know, I think I've gotten used to it. Used to the heartbreak, the sleepless nights, the snot and tears running down my face. I actually think I've gotten used to it because it's what feels like home. And I know this isn't always the way it's been. I know at some point the dark wasn't my home, but it's all I can remember. I can't remember what my home life was before, the heartbreaking sleepless nights, the crying until your lungs give out type of pain. I can't tell the difference between a fake smile and a real one because with this cloud above my head, it seems as if everything is fake. It's to the point where I don't know how to be happy because I've been sad for so long. Or maybe I just don't want to be happy because in order to be happy, that means I have to change the home that has always been in my mind. And we all know how anxiety feels about changes in new places. I think I've become so used to the cloudy days, and when the sun comes, I start to crave the darkness, start to crave the never-ending sleepless nights where it feels like my whole world is carving in because it's what I'm used to. I wish I could know what it was like before the cloudy days, where there was only sunny days, where my smile never seemed to fade. Thank you.
I have no words after that, Lily. That poem was heartbreaking, life-shattering, but also shined a light on so many important things and so many feelings that I feel everyone has definitely felt before. Mr. Mayo also said a good point. I want to tell you all, Poetic Pathos Youth Slam does not censor our youth unless they promote the violence or discrimination of any race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, religious, or spiritual belief. And now we have our next poem that we're going to hear, which is from me. The poem is currently untitled, and I'll read it now. I am fire and I am flame and I am light, but from the ashes rises a phoenix, right? I want to become the spark that ignites in the heart of the girl who is tired of being told she will never measure up. I want to be the flint that sets off an interstellar light show, to go beyond the great unknown and come back with more confidence than the world could ever know. I wish for a self-love deeper than the biggest river could flow. I hope to be a light that shines so bright that people from all walks of life look up and shout out, "What a sight." I aspire to be cosmic, to be a force with no restraints and no bounds, with a voice indestructible enough to not be held back, that demands to be heard no matter the grounds. I desire to be the version of myself the younger Kennedy would be proud of, the one that shakes up every room she walks into and burns with such a radiant gleam, more powerful than anything thereof. A young woman who will never cease to amaze with creativity and lust for life that never stops soaring above. And at the end of the day, I just have all this hope for my future that I don't want to get rid of. And then I do have another poem. It's my angry poem. It's titled as such because I, as my teammates know and as Mr. Mayo know, I have a bit of a problem getting angry or writing poetry that strays from happiness and everyday feelings and emotions. It's the way that I haven't written anything new in a minute. By saying a minute, I mean a while. And by saying a while, I mean the last time I thought I wrote something worthwhile was when I said, I wish I could be angry, and then smiled. I wish I could be angry for every time someone looked at me and bellowed, "You're the whitest Black girl I've ever met." Maybe this poem should be angry. Maybe I should show some more emotion. Maybe if my voice wasn't so high and my face is more expressive, then this poem would be something real, something tangible and physical, something I could hold in my palm, or a blade made with my words, swings harsh, sharp, and true. A weapon that never misses its mark. I don't like the color red. I hate the sound of open mouth chewing, and I despise doing math problems. I'm never really very angry. I either feel sad, upset, happy, or absolutely in between. But maybe I should get angry more often. Just get mad, they say, show some emotion. Stop looking so sad, she says, smile. Well, fine, I will. I am upset. I am vexed for all the times I never stood up for myself. I am enraged by the way I used to talk about myself. I am regretful. I am disappointed that I'm not the girls in the magazines. I'm not the models pinned to everyone's Pinterest boards. I am sad and pissed in a whole whirlwind of mixed up, scribbled down feelings whenever I see pictures of happy couples together. I am aggrieved for never having any of this for myself. But don't be fooled by my happy, cheery disposition. But hold on, I'm sorry, I can't find the rest of my poem. But this is my angry poem, my roar of all the words I felt I just couldn't somehow express. Thank you. So that was my poem. Those are my poems. Thank you so much, everyone. And now I'm going to introduce our headliner for this evening, Miya Walters. So Miya is a former captain of the Grace Creek Slam team at Grace Creek High School, the team I've been a part of outside of Poetic Pathos, and she is one of the first Poetic Pathos and Poetic Pathos is also an affiliate school with Grace Creek High School. Miya graduated from Grace Creek High School in 2020 and won the first ever Grace Creek Holiday Slam Classic back in 2019. She is also a member of the 2020 Poetic Pathos Slam team, who placed third at the 2020 Brave New Voices International Youth Poetry Festival, becoming the first team from North Carolina to make it to the finals. Miya is also the first poet who inspired me to join Slam from the very beginning and eventually start writing and reading my poetry in the first place. Hearing her speak and illustrate such vivid stories with her words really inspired me to tell my own, and I am extremely overjoyed to introduce you all to Miya tonight. So Miya, take it away.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
You're welcome.
Very happy to be here with you guys tonight. It's been a long time since I've done any slam. Do I just start reading one now? Oh no, she asked me a question.
Can just ask you a question.
So one of the first questions I have for you is what led you to start writing poetry in the first place? What gave you inspiration?
I would have to say probably the first time I really remember writing poetry was in my freshman year English class. We were doing our little poetry unit, and I I hadn't really written before, but I noticed I was pretty good at it. I was able to write a really long poem when other kids in my class had only had a few sentences written down. So I was like, okay, maybe I should give this a shot. And that was when I sort of started having my eye out with what Mr. Mayo was doing with other kids in the school. And eventually I took myself to poetry club.
So do you have a favorite poem that you've written, or a poem you think is like one of the best ones that you've written, and why?
I would say personally for me, my favorite one that I've written was one of the ones that I used to compete at Brave New Voices. And that was one that I wrote for my dear friend Alex that we lost a few years ago, or not a few years ago, but almost 2 years ago. And that one I feel like is my personal favorite just because writing became a really good coping mechanism for me whenever I lost that friend of mine. And even though it was a coping mechanism before, because of how I've had a not so good childhood, it really helped my healing process. So I would say that probably that one, it's called Letters Unseen, if you've heard it. That one is definitely my favorite one.
Yes, I've definitely heard that poem, and it conveys so much emotion. So what inspires you to keep writing, or what audience do you hope to reach as you continue writing?
Well, honestly, ever since Brave New Voices, I haven't written nearly as much as I'd hoped to. But I still do use it as like a healing process. And I strongly would advocate for kids that just came from broken homes, or just haven't had a good childhood, or really just haven't had a great deck of cards dealt to them in this life. Because whenever I was growing up, I was always really quiet about what I was going through because I didn't see anybody else going through the same thing around me. All the other kids had their parents or just seemed happy and content. So I was happy and content as well, So I feel like not even necessarily just somebody who didn't have a good upbringing, but anybody that just feels maybe like they don't belong, or anybody that goes or deals with depression or deals with anxiety, just really anybody that will hear whatever I say. I'm thankful that they listen. But generally, what really wanted me, sorry, I talk so much. What made me want to start poetry, or slam poetry in particular, is being able to tell my story so that other people that have been through the same thing, they could know that they're not alone. That's the biggest thing for me.
And lastly, do you have a favorite poet or a favorite poem outside of ones you've written?
I was honestly scared that you were going to ask me this question because it's been so long since I've just sat down and read poetry, which I really need to do, but adult life is kicking my butt, so I haven't really done that in a long time. So at this moment, I don't necessarily have a favorite poem. I will say, I mentioned her earlier talking to Mr. Mayo, Ruby Kaur, like the author of Milk and Honey. That's one of her popular books, like The Sun and Her Flowers. She is a really big inspiration to me because she talks about topics such as like sexual assault and stuff like that. And I feel like that's a really big topic that needs to be talked about.
Yes, your answers were amazing, Maya, and very informative and also inspiring, but struck a chord within all of us, to listen further and to search within ourselves for the people that we want to become and what we want to change in the world. So you can read your poems now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So as I said, I haven't written in a long time. So you guys, this is literally, I asked Mr. Mayo if I could just read some stuff from my journal. So it's very rough draft. Okay. Okay, so here's the first one. Oh, and they're very short. So, woo. Okay. The silence in the hallways that was louder than anything I've ever heard. The goosebumps that appeared on my arms underneath my flannel the moment I sensed something was wrong. the familiar face whose cries were a foreshadowing of my own. Your name coming out of our friend's mouth after I asked what's wrong. The words, he killed himself, coming out of another friend's mouth in slow motion after I asked, what the fuck happened to Alex? Would you believe it happened in 40 seconds? The blurry hallways as I searched for the teacher I'm way too emotionally attached to, the screams that came out of me so loud you would have thought I was trying to reach heaven. The administrator that told me and our friend to remove ourselves from the hallway as we were grounded in a quick stand of our own grief because class change was in about 40 seconds. Every 40 seconds, someone commits suicide, a statistic I wait to become as I count down my days like a prisoner with tally marks on my wall or maybe my skin. 40 tallies. Only 40 more seconds until my turn. That's the first one. And I'll just do one more. Sun rays whisper through my curtains. They wash away the window pane. I believe they are your way of checking in on me. The rays glaze over my cold hardwood floors so that when I break the chains that are my blankets to stand and face the day, I melt into those floors. I take it as a hug from you. A bird's song becomes sweet syllables sung by you. I listen. I hear your laugh as the leaves rustle and dance in the wind. I listen, and I laugh with you. I see your smile in the clouds, see you winking at me from a star, hear your tears in a storm, feel your footsteps in the thunder. I find the best things in life when looking for you. That's it. I don't really think I have anything else that is ready to be presented to you guys, sadly. I'm really sorry. Wish I had more time to write.
It's okay. What you read to us today, though it be little, it was very demonstrative of you and your character and how you see the world and how you have experienced so many different things in such a short span of time. We are so thankful to have you here today. You are so inspiring to listen to and to watch. And thank you so much for headlining for us today and sharing with us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the wonderful introduction and questions are all. I'm really proud to see how you've grown as a poet. I remember watching your audition for the slam team, and I'm really about to start crying and having to grade your poem, and it's just crazy that I never knew that I made you want to do slam. So that made me very happy when Mr. Mayo told me. So thank you for listening to my words and for putting your words into the world because they deserve to be heard. So thank you.
Thank you. As we close out today, I just want to thank all the poets, Maya, Lily, Amari, T, everyone who performed today, everyone who tuned in, everyone who watched. This was our first slam of the season, and we have our next slam October 29th at 7 p.m., the October Spooky Spectacular Slam. Poets can sign up by emailing info@poeticpathos.org or DMing us on our social media accounts. Our next open mic is November 12th at 7 p.m. after the October 29th one coming up, and it will be hosted by Zoe, and Queen of Drafts will hopefully be headlining. If people would like to sign up now, you can go ahead and email us or DM us. And thank you everyone for tuning in and have a wonderful weekend.